Hello, welcome to Revelator Elf Live. It's a radio podcast thing. Yes, indeed. I am here live in full effect, if you like. Wearing the bins today, just to help me out with my visuals, as it were. Anyway, I hope you're all well. If you're in the chat, let us know how you're doing, if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay, of course. Anyway, so today's show, I suppose I'm going to be talking about new bikes. I'm going to be talking about the news in the motorcycle world. But look, we're talking about this mob. Absolutely. So a lot of I've been doing a bit of research, let's say, and I've been talking to a few people in the wider world, but I kind of been trying to get a vibe of how people are feeling about the motorcycle launch, the product launch from Harley Davidson, and it's not. I've made the other live shows, and I've talked about this, and I've just actually recorded quite a few videos today talking about different aspects of the motorcycle world, but also Harley Davidson and everything that. So they'll be coming out in the next few days as well. But I really wanted to judge the vibe of the reaction to it, and I thought there was some good parts to the live show or the live launch, but very little. In fact, it's very disappointing, and many people were disappointed and everything. And maybe now the dust has settled a little bit, maybe people can just think about this rationally, I suppose, or maybe not have a polarized opinions either way, because some people are really positive about it, and some people, well, like me, not very positive about it at all. But I wanted to explore whether there's going to be any kind of comeuppance with Harley Davidson, and whether they were going to have some kind of, I don't know, some kind of backlash about it. Was there going to be a backlash to the reveal, the things that they told us, and also the prices, of course, but anyway, so that's coming up. That's going to come up in the main segment, the Biker Glory. What's the story of Biker Glory? But it's all about the news now. Let's get into that. Okay, so the first story I want to cover here is Visor Down. Nice little story here. Husqvarna, the Norden, nice little bike actually. Not a nice little bike, it's a big bike, big adventure bike. The 901 Expedition leaked from the dealer summit. So they've had a dealer, Husqvarna dealer. I think it might have been a joint Husqvarna KTM dealership. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, so it was from the dealership, and it says a video seemingly captured at the dealer summit seems to show a new trick Husqvarna Norden 901 Expedition model primed for launch. Since its launch at the tail end of 2021, the Norden 901 made waves in the adventure motorcycle sector. I kind of got mixed reviews, I think it would be fair to say. I think some people rave about it. It's like a proper adventure bike. It does what it says on the tin. It will go anywhere, do anything, and other people a little bit, so. I mean, it's one of those things. It's quite subjective. Definitely a very capable bike, as you would expect from Husqvarna as well. But anyway, yeah, so the adventure motorcycle sector mating Husqvarna's Nordic style with KTM's imitable off-road ability. Yes, of course, you would imagine there's some cross-fertilization there going on. But anyway, so the adventure touring sector brands rarely like to limit themselves to simply one option for punters to choose from. KTM already has the 890 Adventure high-spec Adventure R in its roster. So this is like another 901 variant. And look, this is not just in the adventure bike sector, of course. This is all bikes, right? There's usually some kind of variant here. But it seems that there could be a theme of the blueprint Husqvarna is now set to follow after Environmental Protection Agency information in a video reported to be taken at a dealer summit has revealed an expedition model of the bike in filings posted in the USA. So this has obviously come from them. This is the Husqvarna 901 Expedition spec. What is it? It's basically 43mm Apex forks. Yeah, so they've been replaced with 48mm Explores, upgraded with customized Explore riding mode. Okay, saving a couple of £100 in the process. Yeah, it's not much on the spec here, but look, interesting that you know, they're coming out with a bike that they think needed to be a little bit more than the adventure bikes. I thought the adventure bike was the adventure bike, and now you got the Explorer version. Well, I'll let you know. Okay, it's probably a little bit more off-road. I've got a feeling this is due to not only providing other variants, but I think it's more to do with the likes of Ducati coming out with their Desert X. Their Desert X, you know, it's a very, very capable, proper off-road big bike, right? Or big-ish bike. So I think maybe this is where they're at. They say, actually, we need to make an adventure bike or give our adventure bike that is already very capable, make it even more capable, you know, that kind of thing. But there we go. Let me see if this will play. I'm not sure. Sometimes these don't play. Let's see if I can get the desktop audio here. Yeah, okay. So basically somebody's just taken the a sneaky little video when nobody else is around. Yeah, showing it around. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, different colours, of course. Looks like it's got hand guards. Yeah, bash plate or engine protection plate. Can't really see any engine guards, or, you know, if you drop it or anything like that. Soft bags, I'm not sure I assume that's standard stuff. Yeah, it doesn't look anything. I mean, obviously, if you're a Husqvarna fan and you're a Norden 901 fan, you'll probably be able to spot the differences there. Let me just turn the audio down there. But no, interesting. Obviously, somebody's taken a very sneak little peeky and released it. I mean, you know, I don't think Husqvarna are going to be very pleased with that. Well, there we go. Look, it's quite nice, isn't it? This is the Expedition version, yeah. All very good. All very good. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay, it's okay. I'm sure you've seen it on lots of the social media by now, especially if you're an adventure bike fan, which I am, of course, off-road fan. I'm bikes in general, of course, for me. But Husqvarna, yeah, interesting that they've done this. I mean, let me just have a quick look here. What's the original? No, it doesn't really. I haven't got an original 901 to. Yeah, I mean, they all look very similar now. So the KTMs and the Nordens, they you can tell there's cross-fertilization there, and you could tell that with a lot with their enduro bikes as well. But there we go. So Husqvarna, there's a new Expedition version coming out as well. Good little story that from Visor Down. Very good. Well done, guys. Next one from Visor Down here as well. Now, again, I always talk about this, and I think it's right to talk about this, because you talk about the Chinese motorcycles that are getting better and better and better. More and more are being produced. QJ Motor, as we know, massive motorcycle manufacturer, engineering manufacturer in China, but they also have many trade names under them, and we'll probably know those motorcycles. And Chinese motorcycle manufacturers tend to collaborate for the greater good of China, as it were. So a lot of their bikes kind of are very similar with other Chinese brands, as it were. But obviously QJ Motor, they've joined forces with Harley Davidson, so to make these 350s, 500cc bikes. If we ever see them, who knows what's going to happen with them. But anyway, The story here is that QJ Motor is set to launch 2 new trail models in 2023, with a 700 touring bike and an equivalent adventure bike with a larger front wheel. So this is the SRT 700 and the SRT 700X. So these are basically just been come out. QJ Motor is scheduled to release 2 new trail bikes with a shared engine chassis across the Adventure Tourer model. Alongside CF Moto, QJ Motor is perhaps one of the most well-known Chinese brands in the European market we're talking about here. Basically, the engine is a 698cc Euro 5 homologation. I can never pronounce that. And a parallel twin cylinder, parallel twins again, producing peak power output of 72 horsepower, 67 Newton meters of torque. Yeah, decent for a 700cc adventure style bike, and one that's going to be a bit of off-road capable. Yeah. Again, I saw CF Moto at trade shows. In the last couple of years, they've been coming up with 500, 700, 800 cc's-ish bikes in these sort of trail adventure bikes, and some other Chinese brands as well. And they look good. They look good. If you took away the badges, if you took away the name, and you just put them side by side with any other adventure bike, you kind of think, well, obviously you'd be able to spot differences. But in terms of design, adventure bikes, I wouldn't say they look the same, but there's lots of similarities. And what I'm saying is these don't look out of place in that adventure bike world. Does that make sense? You know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. They don't look completely out of place. They wouldn't look as if they're rubbish or they're no good. They look like adventure bike. Lots of plastic, lots of exposed engines, trellis frames, usually that kind of thing. Bigger suspension travel. There's the either soft bags or hard boxes, aluminium boxes, as we know. So just the adventure bike version, the SRT 700, we're on a 21-inch front. Yeah, standard stuff here. Out as more off-road focused model. The wheels themselves are both 17 inches in diameter. So the SRT 700, the more just standard adventure road bike, touring bike, is 17-inch wheels, whereas the SRT off-road has got a 21-inch front. They're just assuming that the off-road version will have greater suspension travel. Currently, the SLT is only shown with QJ Motors' German and Italian websites, so it's only for you would imagine that they're going to put that over in different places, and basically it's saying here that however the SRT is saying it's around about €6,999, which is about £6,150. And the SRT 700X, it only goes up by €700, so that's about 6,400. Look, you're buying a 700cc bike. It's going to be quite capable, very capable. Yeah. SRT seat height is 825 millimeters, wheelbase 1505 millimeters, weight 240. Yeah, not out of place, and a 19.5 litre tank is brimmed. Yeah, all right, fine. Decent bike, I'd say a decent purchase. £6,500, £7,000 or £6,000, whatever. You get a very decent bike. How long these things last, whatever. But the quality of these things is so much better. I mean, if you're just starting out, or you want to get into this kind of riding, or you want a nice, comfortable ride, a commute bike, you don't want to break the bank. What can I say? There's a lot of value, there's a lot of credibility with these new bikes now, I would say, anyway. But there we go. Nice little report there from Visor Dan. Yep, 2 home runs for there, as you will. Here's from Drive Express, another new bike. Well, it's not a new bike, but it's kind of new colours here. This is the Jawa 42. A lot of older brands were kind of re-emerging under Indian ownership, of course. But Jawa Basically, this is nice. I actually quite like this. I like these kind of retro style bikes anyway. And Jawa from back in the day. Where were Jawa from? They were Czech Republic, weren't they, or something like that? I can't remember. Or am I thinking of somebody else? Anyway, it is nice look. I mean, it's a nice bike. I quite like that. 294. Look at these specs here. 294.72 cc. Okay, the 0.72 really. They've really been very, very accurate here with the. You can just imagine, you know, people with their slide rule. Oh, it's 294.72 cc. You know, why don't you just say 295 or 294, whatever? You know, 295. But there we go. Liquid cooled. Oh, okay, yeah, liquid fuel injection that turns out 27 brake horsepower, 26.84 Newton meters. Yeah, it's a 300cc bike. You know, what else you want? The Yezdi Roadster gets. There's the Jawa. So the Jawa 42 Yezdi Roadster, an engine. This is it, and that's what it's actually called, the Yezdi Roadster, and it gets a 334 cylinder, cc cylinder, single cylinder, liquid cooled, fuel injected. So you got the Jawa 42, and which is basically this one, yeah. So this is the Jawa, yeah. So this is a Jawa 42, and then you got this is the Yezdi. But yeah, this is the Yezdi here, this one. It's a slightly different versions of the same bike, pretty much. But yeah, so the Yezdi gets a 334 single-cylinder liquid-cooled fuel-injected engine that develops peak power 29.2, 28.9. And they both motorcycles have a 6-speed gearbox. They don't. These are not for. This is only for domestic market, I believe. In India, let us know if you know more about that. I would like to see these in European roads. You know, I don't think these would work on American roads. I don't know. It's hard to say, really, isn't it? But I always think these smaller CC bikes, these roadster bikes, these throwback to older bikes, you know, or revived old brands that come back. I just think they look. They look good. I say they look good. What can I say? I mean, they look good, but I think they definitely work well on European roads. Definitely work well. Okay, let's. What's the next one here? Yeah, so that was new bikes. Yeah, this is an interesting one here. So I've got 2 recalls to talk about here. So first of all, let me just get back out of here. So there's so BMW have just had to recall some bikes, and also Triumph have just had to recall some bikes. So I'm laughing at it. Only because, I'll tell you why I'm laughing there, is because the last few days I've been searching for for recall stories, and then all of a sudden 2 just pop up right in front of me. So there we go. So let me just bring you the first one here. This is there seems to be a lot of recalls coming from the United States at the moment. The tail end of last year, and also this year in earnest. So here, basically BMW have recalled or recalls 18,489 motorcycles of a gearbox input shaft that may break. Would you believe that may break? So. Yeah, to fix a rather peculiar concern. This comes from Auto Evolution, by the way. The company became aware of said problem in October 2020 when it received a customer complaint alleging a broken gearbox input shaft and a blocked rear wheel from the owner of a GS manufactured for the 2019 model. Interesting, okay. So, according to that, documents were filed with National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The company also initiated parts return program. as in the supplier of the suspect gearbox input shaft was contacted for review of its production process as well. Standard stuff here. They went through the, who produces this stuff and investigated it. The review concluded with no suspicious findings. Okay. Everything from material property evaluations to x-rays, electron microscopy, and surface treatment examination didn't result in any finding. Come July 2021, the BMW became aware of a different incident alleging a broken gearbox input shaft, albeit without the blocked rear wheel. Because the root cause of the second incident couldn't be identified, BMW decided to continue monitoring. A year later, June 2022, the company became aware of an incident that resulted in a crash and injury. 2 months later, another incident resulted in a crash without injury. Better late than never. BMW engineering investigation concluded that an overload of the input shaft could occur in certain scenarios. When those engine operating and riding conditions are met, the input shaft may sustain damage and ultimately break, which leads to a blocked rear wheel. So I assume that it's when it's just, you're demanding a lot of power from it, and maybe in very just quick, you're not demanding a lot of power progressively. Maybe you're just, twisting the throttle on. It's putting a lot of torsion load on it. That's all I can think. That's all I can think of what it could be. Rather than the motorcycle's transmission or input shaft, the root cause is, wait for it, software. Hold on a minute. What's all this about software? Owners will be notified by first-class mail no later than March 10th with the instruction to take their bikes to the dealer to have the engine control module updated with improved software version. BMW does not mention what parameters were changed, though. Okay. So it must be when you're trying to demand different power, you're twisting on the throttle, the engine control module, whatever it's called, what was it? Engine control module, that makes it, you're going to reset the maps on it. Reset the profile on it. I assume that's the only thing I can think of. On the other hand, we do know that the input shaft goes kaput due to an abrupt difference between the engine speed and rotational speed of the final drive component. The affected population of vehicles includes 6,812 examples of 2019-2023 model BMW R1250 GS, manufactured between September 19th, 2018 through to December 14th, 2022. The R1250 GS Adventure from October 10th, 2018 through December 14th, 2022 is called back as well. The final entry comes from R1250 RTP Touring Motorcycle, approximately 2,276. A rather pricey affair. The 2023 model is currently listed at $17,995, which is whatever, and options. So the adventure is $20,000 plus dollars. Interesting though, interesting. So the shaft is breaking, and they're saying, okay, so basically instead of replacing the shaft or the input shaft, what they're going to do, they're going to change the map or change the control module, which is going to sort out the problem. Interesting. You would have thought that if there's a defective part, then maybe allow for it to be put under higher stress load, so therefore you change it. So this seems to me, and I could be completely wrong, let us know what you think. I think this is just a way for BMW not to, it's like a cheaper fix. It's a cheaper fix. In other words, leave the shaft as it is. In other words, it works. It's perfectly fine in most circumstances. But what we'll do, we'll change the engine control module, the software, so that the bike you won't be able to get the bike in that certain power configuration, which causes this problem. Watch this space on this. Watch this space. Obviously, if you've got a bike outside of the United States, a BMW with these, I would definitely call my dealership and and just say, hey, look, there's this. It's the autoevolution.com website. Go check them out. Read this for yourself. Go to your dealership and say, is there a problem? Is there a recall? Have you heard about the input shafts or maybe the software upgrade on these bikes? You know, if you've got one of these bikes, definitely go to your dealership and have a discussion with them as well. These are from manufactured from 2019 to 2023. Oh, sorry, 2018. Different bikes, 2019, 2023, or 2018 to 2022. It's the BMW R1250 GS, the Adventure, and the 1250 RTP Touring motorcycle as well. So, yeah, you know, all of those bikes are basically needed to be recalled. And, you know, there isn't a recall as yet in Europe, but you would imagine it will be coming soon. Because obviously these bikes, now it really depends, I suppose, whether the engine control module in the United States is set, is there, if there's a different setting for those markets. It could be, and we do know that different control modules, different brains of different motorcycles can be tailored to different markets according to emissions controls, you know, that kind of thing, local laws. So it could be something like that. So maybe the European bikes, for example, or bikes sold in other parts of the world are not affected by this because, you know, there isn't the issue there. But yeah, it's scary if you're going along and then all of a sudden the back wheel locks up. That's a bit of a tough one, isn't it? Okay, so BMW then, the recall, 18,500 motorcycles in the United States. This is where the recall has come from. As I say, go to your dealership if you're not in the United States, and just say, hey, listen, there's this Wally on the YouTubes telling us that there might be a problem with our bike. We need to get it checked out. Have you heard anything? That Wally would be me, but as you can see, here's the story for you, and hopefully, at least you can be put at ease a little bit, or maybe speak to somebody. I often find if you go to your dealership, especially if it's a new motorcycle, you go to your dealership and you just have an open and frank conversation with them, you know, and just say, look, have you heard anything? What's going? At least you can get your concern logged. You can get it. You can get your concern logged. You can face them up straight away and just say, look, I've heard about this problem. Is it affecting our bikes? And they may say, no, we haven't heard anything, because they may not have heard anything. Of course, you know, it might be something that they are completely unaware of themselves. But I think sometimes if you go and register an issue, then at least it's registered. At least you know that you've spoken to somebody. So if something does happen with your bike, you can say, hold on a minute. If you've got evidence that other parts of the world have got it. Now, as I say, it could be that this doesn't relate to European markets or markets around the world apart from the US, because they might have a different control module. Anyway, it's different. If you're a BMW rider, you'll know. So let us know, or, you know, and let anybody know in comments below later. But there we go. Let me just quickly check that. There we go. Just make sure that chat's coming up. Yes, there we go. I've just said hello to myself, by the way. Right, let me just get rid of that. So yeah, if you're in the chat, let us know what you're up to as well. So the BMW, that's the big one. Let me just get back to the website. BMW are the ones there with another recall. They've had a couple of years of doing quite a few recalls or issues. BMW. And still a great brand. I mean, there's nothing issue there. I mean, it's. I suppose it's good to see that they've gone through an investigation process. The producer of the part, they've done proper investigation, as you would expect. This is not something there's no conspiracy here. I mean, they're doing what they're supposed to do, right? And that's what you would expect from any manufacturer. But they've gone through it. They haven't found anything wrong. But obviously they found some kind of, you know, certain conditions where this can happen. But they're finding that it's a software issue that enables you to put the bike in that condition. So when I say cheap fix, so it's just a fix, isn't it? It's just a fix, as opposed to fixing the part or beefing up that part. They're saying actually we just stop the bike being put in that configuration. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. I mean, personally, I would much prefer if they subsequently came out with a replacement of that part, because that part is still braking under certain loading conditions. So why not just replace that part? Do you know what I mean? Instead of limiting the bike, because you've bought a bike that you thought had a certain amount of performance. Now, I'd be interested to see if these bikes, once they've been recalled, they've had the engine control module changed. If riders, the GS riders, and others, of course, whether they notice any performance difference, any capability difference. That'd be interesting. So I mean, right at now, all I know is this has just come to my attention. I think this story came out yesterday, so it's yesterday or the day before, I should say. So I'm a little bit late to the party with this one, I'm sure. But if you've heard about this, let us know. Let us know. Let anybody else know. But I'd say if you've not heard about this, certainly go to your dealership and find out. Go to your dealership and just ask them some questions there. Okay, the next story here is from Triumph. They've also got a recall, this time only affecting just over 1,300 bikes, and it's the 2022 to 2023 model RS and RR. The Speed Triple, the Speed Triple RS and the RR. So the Speed Triple, nice bikes actually. So I did a little bit on that a while ago. So this is from the United States as well, and again similar kind of process here. But basically, they're saying that the warranty department observed a noticeable increase in warranty claims alleging an overheating radiator fan. This condition obviously leads to hot coolant leaking or spraying, thus increasing the risk of injury. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's fine. August 2022, the Triumph Quality Department requested suspect parts from the field to verify the claims. So they wanted to see what the problem was, and for themselves, for some reason or other, the British company waited until January 2023 for the recall committee to approve a campaign. Okay, I'm not sure what they're trying to say here with from Auto Evolution. The same goes to whether they've delayed it unnecessarily. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it could be just the process that they had to go through to do this. But there we go. Let's go. Anyway, the radiator fan exceeds the maximum operating temperature in slow-moving traffic situations. So over 1,300 units recalled in the United States of America will receive an additional heat shield designed to deflect heat away from the radiator fan. Triumph will correct this issue in production as well at the end of January. So again, so this is something to again, if you're a Triumph rider, you've definitely you're riding a Speed Triple. I rode that bike. It's nice actually. I just think I'm oversized for it, but I think it's a nice bike. The RSR and the RR, I mean, fast as you like, really. But if you've got one in another part of the world, yeah, definitely get down to your Triumph dealership and see if there is an issue that they're aware of. See if if this modification is going to be applied to your bike. If the bikes are going to be recalled in this country as well. It could be that again the Triumph dealership in wherever you are don't know anything about this yet. But they may find out about it in a couple of weeks' time or a month's time. And you may get a letter through the letterbox, or you might get an email, or you might get a phone call from the dealership say, yeah, now actually this problem, we need to bring your bike in and do this little fix on it, right? So there we go. I mean, it could be. Yeah, there we go. Right, so that, I suppose, that's it, really. I mean, those are the news stories from the last day or so. No, I'll just get rid of that one. I don't need that one. And oh, there we go. I don't know what I've done there. Right. Let me just. Is that still live? Yeah, that's still good. Let me just bring you this here. Now, that's all the news. Now, let's get on to the main story of the day. Okay, let me just quickly check into anybody watching. Yeah, we've got a few people watching. Thanks for watching. Donald Prendle, good afternoon. Oh, good. Yes, good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you, and hope you're well. Anybody else in the stream? Let's ask any questions that you want, and also if you want to leave comments later on as well. So listen, we're going to talk about the main subject is Harley Davidson, of course. Today, I'm talking about the backlash. I'm talking about what. Let me put the chat up there as well. You can follow on all the socials, of course, down there. There we go. The backlash from Harley Davidson. Is there a backlash? You know, are many people out there, you know, finally lost it with Harley Davidson? Are they thinking, you know, enough is enough, we're not doing it? Now, I've been doing the last few days. I've kind of been doing the rounds. I've kind of been looking around, searching lots of websites, obviously lots of YouTube videos, and trying to get a feeling for what it is. And I think that there's a backlash from many of the people who there's a backlash from people who are either already dissatisfied with Harley Davidson, or the ones that were on the fence, let's say. But there's also still lots of people who are still very positive. And you know, you could say they got the blinkers on. They'll always be positive, right? But there's no doubt there has been some kind of backlash here against Harley Davidson, the company. There definitely has been. And you wonder what is going to be the net result of this, or what effect will it have? When will they start realizing if there is any impact on the company themselves? What somebody in the comments, one of the last videos or last live streams, a couple of days, or maybe a couple ago, basically saying they were in a dealership. I think it's Kajago, I think it was. I can't remember. They were in a dealership watching it, and somebody remarked in the dealership, "Well, is that it? Is that it? Is that all we get?" Since then, I've actually heard or seen quite a few comments, quite a few people saying that many dealerships, or they knew many dealerships, had exactly the same reaction. Is that it? Is that all we got? What? So, not only are people having a bit of a backlash against the price, because prices have gone up all over, right? But certainly people have had a massive backlash against, you know, the big prices of the anniversary bikes, and especially that CVO Road Glider Limited in the anniversary, you know, which is over 50,000, you know, £50,000 dollars shekels. That's a lot of money, right? It's a crazy amount of money for a motorcycle. And people saying, really, a motorcycle, right? But they're also saying, well, actually, you know, all those other bikes in the anniversary range, if you just wanted to add, you want to buy a Fat Boy, for example, no, let's say, or I don't know, an Ultra Limited or something, or, you know, you basically have to pay, and over here, an extra £5,500 or something for the privilege of having that bike. That's, you know, I think, and I've said this in a video, and you'll watch it soon, actually coming out this week, but I said, look, if they wanted to make the anniversary bikes and just charge an extra $1,000 for them, I get it. I absolutely get it. And I said, yeah, you just charge an extra little bit. I'm fine. But to charge that much more for an anniversary, which essentially is still the same bike, and it's, you know, there's not, it's just paint and badges and a bit of, you know, stitching on a seat essentially. So what, you know, why is it so much? So there's a massive backlash against that. There's also a big backlash against, well, there wasn't many bikes revealed, and they bought out the bikes that nobody really wanted, or maybe they did. Maybe they did. The Breakout 117. You know, I did question. It's a great bike. Don't get me wrong. I've got nothing against the bike, but I'm just wondering why bring that bike bike back for the American market, and why does that bike need a 117 engine? And, you know, a bigger tank and everything like that. But look at the price tag in these things. You know, why does that deserve to be brought back? And why not just give some of the other cruisers, the other Softails, a 117 engine? Maybe they would have been more deserving of it. What about the nicest Revolution Max engine? Where are all the bikes of that? You know, I made videos prior to the launch. Then, you know, you may have seen them yourself, where I was saying, well, actually, you know, if you want to, if you're thinking about the future of Harley Davidson, or sorry, the immediate future of Harley Davidson in the next 5 years, let's say, the bikes that they really need to be pushing are new models with the Revolution Max engine. That's the immediate future of the company, right? The one to expand, to break down barriers, to, you know, get into new horizons, attract new people, attract new riders. They need to bring out new bikes. We're not just a little variant of the Nightster, which hasn't been a great seller anyway. So why do that? Just very, very odd. Donald, yes. There's no mention of the 350 and 500 from China too. Yeah, exactly right. Where is the Bronx? Yeah, exactly right. And the 975, yeah, Pan America. Where were they? You know, where are the other Revolution Max engine, you know, that many would hope would be in a cruiser lineup or in a tourer lineup? So you kind of wonder, well, what's going on? What's the thinking? Now, you know, if there's always going to, in previous years, there was always going to be a backlash against Harley Davidson for the style of their launch, right? Their online launch, because it was just too long, lots of faff and not a lot of information. Well, this time they obviously listened to the criticism out there, because they cut all that down. They cut all the chaff away, or most of it, and I thought it was all right from that point of view. But, you know, if you're going to launch new motorcycles, like your biggest motorcycles to launch are the 120th anniversary bikes, then you need to talk about them a little bit more. It was too quickly gone over. They didn't really, you know, showcase those bikes more. And I thought, well, maybe they should. They had a little bit on the Breakout, a bit on the Nightster. But again, it seems as if they cut it back to cut out all the chaff. But what they needed to do was cut out all the chaff, but just expand it to discuss about the bikes. And I've talked about this in previous shows. They should have been a lot more upbeat, a lot more trying to sell you this. And I'm just wondering why they weren't trying to sell you this. It was very muted, very muted. And then you start looking at the prices afterwards and you think, oh, okay. Well, you wonder what's going to come of this. You know, so, I mean, look, a lot of the videos that are going to come out this week is basically, I'm asking the question, who's going to be buying these bikes? How much of people would be willing to spend now for motorcycles? How much are they willing to spend for Harley Davidsons? You know, the backlash that I've already heard, and I already kind of heard this, well, actually, I tell a lie, that's wrong. I heard this from people before the launch. They were basically saying there are two camps. There are two camps of saying, regardless of what comes out for 2023 bikes, I'm going to retain my existing Harley Davidson. You know, a 21, a 22, 20, regardless, it could be in 1976. It doesn't make a difference, right? They're going to retain that, but they're not going to spend money on a brand new motorcycle. That's one camp. The other camp of the Harley Davidson potential buyers for 2023 bikes were just going to say, I've got a whatever bike, a 2020, 2019 bike, whatever. I'm just going to see what happens after the launch and see if I do want to buy a new bike, right? I do want a Harley Davidson. Since the launch, the overwhelming comments that I've received, the emails that I've got, and all that sort of stuff, and I apologise if I haven't answered all your emails and stuff like that. It's just been a bit hectic, and I haven't been feeling very well, unfortunately, for a while. But the overwhelming reaction has been, well, I'm not going to spend that money. Well, I'm not buying anything like that. And people were finally really starting to criticize the value of the new motorcycles and what they could offer. And people are saying, I'm going to stick with what I've got. I'm not buying a brand new motorbike. So that's the backlash. I think there's a real backlash. Let us know what you think. Donald, I agreed. I wish they showed more of the anniversary bikes. I think that's what I could not understand as I was watching it. And then I watched it again because I thought, I've obviously missed something here. I could not understand why they did not break down each bike in terms of its features and just show you the detail or walk around the bike. I just didn't. Why did they only have an 18-20 minute show? They should have had a lot more. I don't understand what the whole problem was with that. It was very, very odd. And the more I think about it, the more I think, well, they've let themselves down here. They've totally misunderstood what the market was, what people really wanted. And I think, as the title of this live show is, I think they've messed up really big here. I think they've messed up in what people were really wanting from Harley Davidson this year, but also what they wanted in the live show. There's always a groundswell of expectation. There's always something, right? There's always something for the people to get excited about. And one of the biggest things that I took away from this live launch this year, more so than any other year, I've got to say, more so than any other year, was that people were caught up, like me. Okay, like me. And I suppose you could say I've got a vested interest to be caught up in it because I've got a YouTube channel and I talk about this. Okay, granted. Okay. But actually, I'm not just doing this for a YouTube channel. I have a genuine interest in bringing out stories of, what I find interesting. Obviously, motorcycles, all motorcycle manufacturers and Harley Davidson. They, at this point, in December into January, they were the only story really that we were waiting for. So that's all I was talking about. So there was this anticipation, this build-up, right? We wanted this build-up. It's coming. It's coming. We think, we hope. I heard this story. I heard that story. Lots of people are talking. Lots of people are thinking. Lots of people are speculating. The rumor mill's going crazy, right? That happens every year, right? There's no problem there. But what happens was that you build yourself up, and afterwards you think, I've only got myself to blame. Because you get to the live launch and you're thinking, well, what the hell was all that about? And I think that's the problem. The problem is that people have looked at this and thinking, what have I just wasted my time for? What have I just sat here for 20 minutes, whatever? But it's not just watching the video or whatever. It's that kind of expectation, that build up. And you can't disagree with that. You can't argue against that. It's just, disappointing, I suppose. Oh, by the way, I've got a coffee mug here, but now I have a coffee mug warmer, would you believe? So my coffee will never go cold during these live shows. Amazing. There we go. Best investment. So whoever pointed that out, I should get one a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago. Thank you. I got one at work as well, and I was sold on the idea very, very quickly. But listen, this is the thing. There's a backlash, and the backlash is that people are fed up. They're fed up of this. They're fed up of, thinking that there's going to be something different. And the problem is, and it's a sign of the times, and it's a sign of the struggles, and it's a sign of the pressures and the concerns that people have, where they're wanting a company like Harley Davidson to fill their life with a bit of joy, if you know what I mean. Because we're fans, right? We're fans of bikes, we're fans of motorcycles, and motorcycle manufacturers and brands and things like that. And we like what we like, right? We like particular bikes. I used to like sports bikes back in the day, not so much now. I kind of go, yeah, nice, but I'd love to ride them, but I wouldn't buy one, right? Adventure bikes, yeah, all right, but they are what they are, but cruisers, that kind of thing, roadsters, retro bikes, I love all that. So that's my style. It doesn't mean that I've got the best style in the world, or it doesn't mean I've got the best taste in the world, but that's what I like. But if you're a fan of Harley Davidson, you're kind of looking to them to give you a bit of joy in your life, and you're thinking, do you know what, yes, I'm gonna spend my money on that. What they haven't factored for is that this year, more than any other year in recent years, is that it's a huge problem for people to be really thinking about buying really expensive things when they've got every other thing in their life that's getting more and more expensive as well. And that's the problem. So if, let's say, a company like Harley Davidson had kept their prices exactly the same for all models, or they've been a lot more charitable with their anniversary bikes and just say, we're only going to charge you, £500 shekels, or £1,000 shekels for the anniversary bike version, people would be like, okay, right, we get it. If they'd said to you or I, do you know what? 2023 is a difficult year for people, right? But we want you to buy Harley Davidsons. We want you to be part of our family. We want you to be all warm and cozy and come into the Harley Davidson world, right? So we're going to provide a bike that is a lot cheaper to run. Here it is. The 350cc, the 500cc. Oh, look, we've got a Revolution Max engine. And actually, here is a base model here. We're going to have a base model here. That's like $8,000, pounds, shekels, whatever. That's the kind of goodwill, if you want, it's a good business strategy. It's good business strategy because all of a sudden you've got people who are going, bing, hold on a minute. Harley Davidson, not as expensive as we thought. They're producing bikes. Ching ching, I'll have a bit of that. And it gets them through the door. It gets young people through the door. It gets people on the ladder, as it were. And, what happens with motorcycle ownership? We all know this. You buy one for 1-2 years, especially if you see it as a bit of a stepping stone bike, and then it launches you on to another bike. And maybe in a couple of years, you've got more money, your financial situation has improved, you've got a better job, you might have got a promotion, that kind of thing. You join forces, you got married or whatever, that kind of thing. Or, you've been a long time married, your kids have grown up, so now all of a sudden you've got more disposable income. You know the score, I don't have to explain this to you. All of a sudden you become, a better bet as a potential customer to go and buy a more expensive Harley Davidson. But because they didn't do that, which we were kind of hoping or expecting that they should, then what's happened? Now, could this be that they're kind of ashamed of the business relationship that they've got with the Chinese manufactured QJ motor and the Indian motorcycle manufacturer Hero? Could it be something to do with that? I can't see it. Why would they be You know, are they thinking they're going to have such a huge backlash from the American public over this? Possibly over the Chinese version, but not over the Indian version. So not over with Hero. So I don't understand why they didn't allow it. Donald, I see a new trend at our local dealer. They post who buys the new bikes. Yeah, they've done that in ours for a while. Over half the new customers are from out of town, bigger cities. So we don't see newer bikes around here all that much. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Dave's Classic Cars. Hello, what a great name. Dave's Classic Cars. Harley Davidson is cutting corners every way they can to save money. Yeah. Definitely a lack of effort with the 2023 model presentation. I think so. I think there was a lack. I mean, I said this in a previous live show. I just think there was a definite lack of thought, lack of ambition, lack of awareness of what the market was really saying to them. I just think there was. I just don't think there was enough there. There wasn't enough there for people to get excited about, and I think that's it. And that's the biggest backlash that I can see right now. That people are, just. Do you know what I think? The worst thing that can come from any kind of bad reaction is that people just become apathetic about it. They just don't care. That's it. They just don't care. You drop from their radar. That you just don't care. You drop from the radar. Now, I'm not saying this has happened with Harley Davidson. I'm not saying that at all, because I still think they're always going to have a huge following. They're always going to have a marketplace people who want to have that. But I just wonder how many people have been turned off by this, turned off so much they just can't. They just don't care. They just don't care, whatever it is. But hold on, let me just do that. There we go. There we go. Yeah. I just wonder. I mean, so there's, I watch lots of videos. I've been reading lots and lots of websites, some articles, financial stuff, opinion pieces. And you know how I do. I show you the websites and everything. I show you where I'm getting stories from. So I haven't got those stories right now, but just do your own research. You can go and see all the videos. And there's a split. There's people who are very positive about this, about what they've done, and people who are very negative about it. People who are just fed up. But you wonder how the silent masses out there, who might just like Harley Davidsons, right? Who might just like motorcycles, and they're not going to tell you. They're not going to come out onto the interweb and say, "I really disagree with Harley." That's for people like me to do, right? I totally disagree. I tell you, I am very, very dissatisfied with the Harley Davidson. But there's many people out there who don't. They'll probably just watch this video, or live show. They'll watch other YouTube, but they'll never comment, right? But they have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion of either way. Whichever side of the fence, you can have an opinion. And I just wonder, are those silent opinions, are they more negative than positive? And if the silent opinions are more negative than positive, that is going to have a knock-on effect to a company like Harley Davidson. And I just think they've totally got this wrong. They've totally misread what people are thinking and the concerns that people have. And I get it. You always get comments from people who will say, oh yeah, Harley, these expensive motorcycles, regardless of Harley Davidson, Indian, Ducati, BMW, whatever, MV Agusta, whatever, it doesn't make them, right? If they really, they are aspirational. People want, yes, and if people got deep pockets, if they want to do that, there's nothing wrong. I've never had a problem with anybody spending whatever money that they've earned on whatever they want. It's entirely up to them. But what my problem is It's about what you offer people who don't have those deep pockets, and what the value is in those products that you sell. Donald, sorry, trying to keep up with the comments here as well. On a positive note, the Breakout ticks a lot of boxes, and it's a reintroduction here in the US. It is. I'm not sure whether the Breakout was the bike to bring back, and I'm not sure whether the Breakout should have had the 117 engine above any other cruiser in the cruiser lineup, but that's another thing. Another item I liked was the introduction of hard and soft bags for other bikes. Yeah, as I say, those are two segments I thought they're not sure I had no problem with at all. You know, the clothing, you know, not for me, if you know what I mean. You know. But, you know, I find it's interesting. It's interesting to see that point of view, as opposed to being dismissive of they only sell T-shirts, Harley Davidson, they're just a merchandise, whatever. I think it's interesting that they're putting a lot of thought, and they have been doing for quite a number of years now, into the design of their clothing. And I think, okay, yeah, I get it. Also, the accessories. Yeah, we know the accessories, and, you know, it's an opportunity to talk, because it is a product launch. It's not a motorcycle launch. We always got to remember this is a product launch. So you've got to talk about your products in terms of T-shirts and clothing and boots and things like that. You've got to talk about accessories. So no, that's good. I have no problem. Donald, negative note, some of those colours, yellow, are god-awful. Well, I won, you know, what's it, the industrial yellow, the industrial yellow. What was the other color? The gold. I forgot what the gold is called now. Prospect gold. Again, until I see them in the flesh, you know, not sure. Donald, there was so much hype beforehand, and I suppose this is my point. You know, the presentation didn't match expectations. Very disappointing. It didn't match expectations, but I suppose I've said this in a previous show as well. You know, are we to blame for our own expectations? You know, should we have high expectations? Well, I think we should. I think we should hold higher expectations, especially of a company. This is not 89 years in business. You know, this is 120 years in business, right? Continuous business. So this is the big thing. They're not like Indian, who've been down and out so many times. Not like other brands like Triumph, you know, whatever, been down and out. This company been, you know, they've come back year after year. They've sold you a dream, sold you a lifestyle, sold you this, sold you that. They sold me a bike. I bought it. I loved it. I ride it. You know, I absolutely love it. You know, I'm vested in the bike, and I'm invested in it. But when you see them making big decisions like this, and you think, well, who are they trying to sell to now? Who are they trying to attract? And if you're out there and you can afford to buy a motorcycle for 25, 30, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds, fine. There's no issue there. And nobody is going to say to you, or I'm not going to say to you, certainly, that, look, you're an idiot for spending that money. No, because it's your money. You decide what you want. And anybody who says that is you know, out of order, because it's not about what I believe that you should spend your money on. Actually, it's what I believe I should spend my money on, you know, or what I think the normal person. And the normal person is not going to spend that money. Now, again, I come back to it. This is not about a particular thing. This is about a mode of transport, if you want. And regardless how we feel about it, modes of transport are, well, they're modes of transport, aren't they? You know, how much more expensive does a bike need to be? So this is one of the issues with Harley Davidson. Let's say, let's just say that you got a Street Glide, right? So the Street Glide, you say the Street Glide special, or even the the ultra limited, right? You say to people, there is a base price for a street glide. Street glide, £20,000, dollars, shekels. And the street glide, comes with, fairing, comes with radio, comes with hard bags, dual seat, all that kind of stuff. That's your £20,000. And people say, okay, fine. And they say, if you want a tour pack on it, it'll cost you this. If you want a bigger engine in it, it'll cost you that. If you want a different colour, you'll pay an extra £200, dollars. They're not grossly, not gross increases, just for very minor changes, right? But if you want a different engine size, we'll give you different engine size. You might have to pay £3,000 more. Okay, fine. But regardless of what it is, you can see that a base price bike, as in just standard, that comes with a 114 engine in the case of street glides, right, is only 20,000. But if you want to add all these extra bits, yeah, you'll take it up to 30,000. But that is kind of, you've really added a load of money on there, right? But still, it's a £30,000 bike, which is the top of the range bike for touring, let's say, right? But you've got all that based on a £20,000 bike. So they're still selling a £30,000 bike, or dollar bike, or shekel bike. But you start from a 20,000, and if you're happy to ride a £20,000 bike, that's what you got. You're happy with it. There's no problem. Or 15,000, or whatever it is, or 10,000, whatever it is. But that's where you start, and the start is very reasonable, right? It's reasonable. So you add all those. But when you start a bike at 30,000, when you start a bike at 40,000, now when you're starting a bike at 50,000 plus, then all of a sudden people are saying, we can't even imagine that. When you say to people, this is your bike, this is your base bike, but just to change the colour, we're going to add £2,000, dollars, shekels, whatever. To make it into an anniversary colour, we're going to charge you £5,500. This is insanity. This is insanity. This is where people have lost the plot. This is where they believe that they think that because prices are going up and up and up, they can charge you more and more and more without giving you value. And in business, come from a business background, back in the day, okay, this is where companies are there to make profit. That's what they're there to do. But they also have to provide value, because if they don't provide value, they won't have a customer base, and it'll be a gradual spiraling down. And the competition, you're always working against the competition, and the competition will work against you. Now, if you don't have competition, guess what? You can charge high prices, and as long as you've got value in there, people will want to, they want to buy your product. You'll keep on selling products at high prices like that, right? But as soon as you get competition, all of a sudden, people question the value, they question the price, because there's a competition out there. People are going to spend their money elsewhere. So, if people want to spend that money, that's fine. But Harley Davidson has structured their pricing so that you can only spend that money. And it doesn't mean that they're not good bikes or they're not quality made. And I believe the quality has improved over the years. I definitely do. But they're still, in so many ways, behind the curve, with other bikes, with other manufacturers. Now, in some areas, they're right at the top of the tree, but in other areas, they're behind the curve. So if you're looking at a bike, let's just say, And I compared this to other brands. Let's just say, like, I don't know, a BMW, for example. A BMW R18, the cruiser. You could either have it as a bagger BR18, so R18B, or the R18 Transcontinental, basically the Tourer, with like a tour pack type thing. You know, we're talking base price. Okay, yes, if you start adding anything to any bike, you start adding the price up, but it starts off at 25,000. That's for the Transcontinental. So that is £5,000 less than a Harley Davidson Tourer. Okay, still expensive, but this is where I talk about competition. The competition see the market and they say, do you know what? That competition is, people might be willing to pay 25, 30,000. We're not going to go in at 30,000 because guess what? BMW could definitely have tried to sell that R18 at 30,000, but they didn't. They said, do you know what? Let's try and go in at 25,000. And they have. You know, but the R18 or whatever, they're a lot less. You know, if you take, but you know, these are because of that style, they think they can get away with a higher price, BMW. However, they offer other Tourers which are either sub 20 or around about the 21,000 pound mark. If you take other brands which offer touring motorcycles, they offer them for cheaper, around the 20,000 mark, 17, 18, 20,000. So all of a sudden you've got competition out there who are producing very similar bikes, or similar bikes that will function in the same kind of riding style, but they're offering them a lot cheaper. And this is where I don't think Harley Davidson have completely messed up here. I think they've messed up. They've misread the market, and they've misread where people's heads are at this year, especially because people are thinking about how much money are they going to be able to earn? Are they going to be able to cover the rising costs? Now, I know it's different for everybody, and I know it's different for wherever you are in the world. Of course I do. This is not, you can't generalize. Well, I am generalizing, but I appreciate everybody's situation is completely different. So you can't just say, hey, everybody's going to suffer, because some people will suffer and some people won't. Some people already have suffered, some people won't. But when we're talking, and we've been talking about this here in Europe and the UK for the last year and a half, something like that. We've been talking about this for a while, that people are thinking about the rising costs. And if you're thinking about it, you hesitate. And if you hesitate, you tend not to buy things. You tend not to buy things, or you delay buying things, or you prioritize where you should be spending your money. So, for most people, the priority is, let me just drink some of my warm coffee here. Yes, got my heater plate down there. The priority is that, so the priority for most people is their family, isn't it? Their family first and foremost, themselves, their family, that kind of thing. Your home, whatever. Then you start thinking about, other things like work and, being able to get wherever you need to get to. Maybe family holidays, all that sort of stuff. So people have to prioritize in different ways. And the bills all associated with your normal life. So motorcycles might be your mode of transport to be able to get you to work, or it might be a leisure activity. So if it's purely just a leisure activity, then there'd be more and more pressure to not spend that money on there. There we go. Daniel, welcome. So when are they bringing out the news for the news 2023 CVO Harley Davidson? That was weird, wasn't it? That was weird in the motorcycle launch. And I remarked about this in previous live shows, where they talked about the CVO Road Glide Limited, the $50,000, $52,000, whatever it is, bike, right? They talked about that in a little bit of detail, not much, but a little bit of detail. And he basically said, "Oh yeah, we're going to bring out a couple more CVOs." Well, and you know, I said this before, but why didn't you bring that out straight away? You know, why didn't you tell us about the CVO straight away? It was just very, very odd. I have no idea. I just think it's a stupid thing to do, to not announce the CVOs, all of the CVOs at the same time. Why? What's the problem here? You know, that I don't know. I don't know what the answer is and why they've done it. And unless they're coming out with CVOs with a bigger engine. Well, again, they completely screwed that up, haven't they? You know, and you know, it could be that this is part of their drip feeding, that they're just going to add, you know, the odd little bike here and there, or another bike here and there. Donald, I've been riding Harley since 1976, owned dozens of models except for one, all we used because of the high costs. I want the brands, as you can see, but I worry for the future may not be positive. I never want to see anybody fail or any company fail or whatever, but the reality is, in the world, in the business, people win and people lose. Companies win, companies lose. And the reason why companies lose, for the most part, is they make wrong decisions or succession of wrong decisions. But you worry that the future may not be positive. It may indeed not be positive. You know, unless, again, as I said before the launch and afterwards, you know, if they are going to come out pretty quickly now, because I think Harley Davidson need to react to this backlash. They need to react to it. They need to be able to come out with news pretty quick that they're going to bring out new motorcycle models, cheaper ones, you know, that kind of thing. I think that is. Donald, remember day when demand was so high, you didn't know when your Harley would arrive, nor what colour it would be. To add insult to injury, the dealer would market the price. So yeah, a lot. Certainly in the United States, yeah, and we never had that kind of issue here. Of course, Harleys weren't imported as much back then, and a lot of those early Harleys were just import used Harleys anyway. But no, they were being imported, but obviously not in the numbers that they were in recent years. So, yeah, you have a different system in terms of what you pay at the dealership. We don't have that here or in Europe, or actually in most parts of the world, where a dealership, you know, the price that you see on the website here is the maximum price that you will pay in the UK. Now, you know, you might have to pay road tax, and we might, you know, that kind of thing. And there might be a charge, but that is the maximum price. Whereas in the US, you can put sales tax and delivery charges and getting the bike ready charges, and you know, if they and the dealership can add a couple of extra thousand here, and if it's in short supply, they can add a bit. If they try to do that over here, people would be like, "Oh, on you go, no thanks, not interested." They wouldn't. It's a totally different system. So what you pay, what you see as a price tag, that's what you pay. Not what you pay, sorry. That's what the starting price is. Because there's always room for negotiation. There's always room for you to say, well, do you know what? I'm not going to pay that. I'll pay you a couple of thousand less. Or I'll pay you, you know, or I'll tell you what, I'll give me a bit of a discount, but also throw in a seat, throw this in, throw that in. You know, or come up with some kind of servicing package as well. You know, that kind of thing. That's what people do. And many dealerships over here, that's how they try to retain the higher prices, let's say, or the MSRP prices, by offering other included services. You know, so that's why, you know, that's how they do it over here. And I think it's a much better system. Now, again, this comes down to how much are people willing to pay and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, back in the day, definitely. I mean, I've heard lots of stories, spoken to lots of people about who were trying to buy motorcycles at the time and they couldn't get them, and they were, you know, being charged more and more. And the thing is, there are always companies out there, dealerships, people in general who want to profit off a bad situation. They want to profit. They want to make out they're doing such a, you know, a noble thing for people, but actually all they want to do is just, you know, they, oops, sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, all they want to do is just profit off how other people are feeling, or how people are maybe desperate to buy something but they can't afford it. And, you know, now there's always good dealerships. There are always good people out there, but there's always bad ones as well. And there's always ones that want to earn money, right? And if you've got a sales-based business and a commission-based business, you've got sales guys out there who they just want to earn the most that they can, right? Because that's what they do, right? There's no problem in that per se. But if you're grossly inflating prices just so you can earn more money, then there's a bit of a problem, isn't there? You know, so you know, but this always comes down to who's willing to pay it. You know, who's willing to pay it? If you're willing to pay this, then fine, no problem. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm never going to criticize, as I say, anybody who wants to spend their money or take on a debt to buy a motorcycle that they have to pay. I'm never going to criticize them because it's their money. You do what you want. If you want to buy a brand new motorcycle and paint it pink with yellow dots and, you know, or get a sledgehammer to it and smash the hell out of it, it's your money, it's your bike, it's you do what the hell you want to do. That's it. That's it. I mean, people get very het up about this kind of thing, about what, you know, what other people do with their own bikes. You know, like the likes of $1 Million Bogan, for example. You know, who well, I don't know. I don't really watch his channel anymore, strangely enough. You know, I'm too busy doing other things. But you know, he was always getting criticised. Well, but this is back when he first started. I'm not sure if he still does. About taking his Harley Davidson off road and getting it dirty and getting it bashed up and everything. And, but the simple answer is that, well, it's his bike. He can do what the hell he wants with it. It's just like me riding my bike in through the winter and all through crappy conditions. Yeah, it's my bike. I'll do what I want with it. Just like it's your bike, you can do what the hell you want in whenever you want to ride it as well. But there we go. Oh, right. Anyway, just a few messages coming through here. Obviously, people watching the show and just let me know what they think, which is always great. It's always great. But listen, it's I don't know what the answer is here. I don't know what Harley Davidson need to do. I think I know what they need to do, but I think they should have already done it. So that's the problem. I think with the way they've launched this, I think they need to scrap this launch idea for a start. Scrap it. Just get rid of it. Just for next year, do not do it. Do not do it. If you're going to do it, just do it on the 1st or 2nd of January. Forget all the hype. If you're going to do it, start releasing content ahead of the time that just teases you know, what's going to happen, so people have an idea what's coming. But if you're going to do it, don't do it the way you've been doing it, and certainly don't do it like this. You know, they need to change their mindset. They need to change the way they do it. But, you know, what's the answer to them? I don't know. And as I said right at the start, I was surprised. I was surprised at the backlash in terms of the amount of people who kind of agreed with me in that how disappointed they were. I was surprised at that. I was really surprised that, I'm not alone. It's comforting to know that I'm not alone here, right? But I was so surprised when I saw some positive videos from YouTubers and lots of positive remarks from people. And I'm thinking, wow. I mean, I don't get it. You know, and it's all well and good being positive, being complimentary, I should say, being complimentary. If money is no object to you and you can go and buy that, or you're never going to buy that bike, right? I get it, because you don't have a dog in this race. You don't care. I'm just, oh, that's a beautiful bike. Look at that. Oh, that's amazing colour. That's amazing. Oh, fantastic. Oh, look at that. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and you're not interested in how much it costs or what any value and all that sort of stuff. Because guess what? You're never going to buy it. You don't care. Right? You maybe don't even own a Harley Davidson. You just, okay, it's just a fantastic, but oh, amazing. Haven't they done a great job? But those who have invested in it, or those who want to buy it, and I've been talking about this for 2 or 3 years. If you watch the channel, I've been talking about this, but there we go. Donald, good talk. Thanks for sharing, listening to it. Oh, you're always welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show and leaving your comments as well. But I say, I wish there was an answer. I wish there was an answer for people. It'd be interesting to know what people think. And I know I'll probably get backlash against the videos that I've made today, and they'll be coming out. And I know there'll be backlash, I'm sure, where people have a negative opinion of my analysis of the situation. Let's say they will. They'll be like, I can't be. Why are we listening to this guy moan about it? Because people do. They don't want to watch a YouTube channel where people, are being negative. I've had people say this to me before. I don't want to watch your program or your videos because they're negative. No, as I say, I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I'm not here like one of these YouTube channels who will say everything's brilliant, everything's wonderful, but they're lying to you. They're lying to you. And that's the thing. They're lying to you. If they're telling you this, they're lying to you. And at least here that I'm going to tell you as it is. I'm going to tell you what I feel and open up a discussion, open up a debate, and tell you where I think that they could have improved or whatever. Bring your real stories, bring your real news items. Talk about this in a kind of rational way rather than just just do the rah rah rah. Yeah, everything's great. Yoo-hoo, yeah, well done. No, it's I give praise when praise needs to be given. And if you watch my live shows, so if you watch my videos in terms of when I'm talking about brands or talking about motorcycles, talking about new bikes, even when I'm talking about websites which I'm reading a story from, I'll say, yeah, good job, well done, nice story there. Yeah, nice. I'll talk about a brand. So yeah, nice bike there. I like that. Good value. Look, works well. So I'm not somebody who's negative. I just say call it as I am, call it as I see it, and I see there are concerns out there. I have, there are concerns with certain bikes, certain brands, especially Harley Davidson, but it's the backlash that this is not something that I'm making up. This is something that I see out there. This is something that I've seen from companies from individuals about the company. This is tangible stuff. This is stuff that you can see yourself. Go do some reading. Go look at lots of YouTube channels or whatever. And you'll start to pick out what I'm talking about. And you think, well, why are people saying this? Why are they doing this? How can they improve? I always look at this from a point of view to say, how can they improve? Or how can they change it? How can they rectify something? How can they make this a different situation? And that's the way I look at it. I look at a company like Harley Davidson, and I've been saying this for a few years now. And I used to write about similar kinds of things on the website as well. So there are ways to rectify this. There are ways to get new people. But I've been saying for the last year or so, maybe, perhaps, that, Harley Davidson have been, in particular, but you could apply this to, big ticket brands, whatever, any of the motorcycle manufacturers who are selling big expensive bikes, right? Ducatis, whatever, MV Agusta, whatever. Honda, even Honda is selling the big expensive bikes, like the Goldwings, that kind of thing, right? They've been riding the crest of a wave of increased ability for people to get money, to pay for things through finance, most notably, right? But people have been riding this wave. It's going up and up and up and up. And they've just been tooting along. And so because they're tooting along and people keep on buying these bikes, they think, oh, okay, we'll just keep on charging more and more and more and more until there's a point where there's nobody to buy the bikes, because nobody is buying the bikes if they can't finance the bikes, if they can't pay for the bikes. So when you say, well, when I say nobody, only a very small percentage will continue to buy those bikes. So other manufacturers have started to try and offset this kind of problem that they've identified, this problem with finance of new machines. And I think it's like Suzuki, I believe KTM are trying to do something as well, in that they're offering their own financing, but at a much cheaper rate than you would get it from other finance companies, or a particular rate. And within that, and there might be a package of, servicing and so on and so forth. So they're kind of trying to work the problem, trying to give buyers, potential buyers, a bit of a way out here, or a bit of a way in, I should say, a way in into purchasing. Harley Davidson, they've got their own finance division. A big portion of their income has been from finance over the last few years, financial deals, right? But they should be trying to offer better finance deals to people if they want them to buy these bikes. To say, right, okay, it doesn't really make a difference to the company. Well, it does, because we're talking about profits, aren't we? But if we're talking about salvaging the first thing, the primary thing of their business, which is motorcycles, you would believe, then that's what they need to make it easier and cheaper for people to be able to afford them. And if they're not, guess what? They become the T-shirt company that they've been labelled as the last few years. That's it. Oh, God, crikey. Anyway, this is a lunchtime that's gone into early afternoon here. But listen, it's I think Harley to sell bike in this country really need to stiff suspension. Yeah, we have awful roads and very Harley. Perhaps with the execution of yours, the suspension is too harsh. Yeah, the suspension on the Taurus is terrible. Yeah, it is. The suspension is on the Taurus. On the Softails is fine. I've never had an issue with them, but yeah, there's Holly Loco. There's shambles in the UK to deal with. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, guys, listen, thanks for joining the chat. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hearing me ramble. My concern is that there is a backlash from Harley Davidson about Harley Davidson. That's what I've witnessed it, and I think people are wisen up here, and see that there's a problem. There's a problem with value. There's a problem with what people are getting, and if it's not the quality of the product, it's the quality and the price of that product, and that's a value. And if the price was lower, or they changed the quality, or they changed the features, as you say, on their bike, you could bring back value. And I think that's where the 350cc, the 500cc bikes, that's where they would readdress value. Cheaper bikes, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. A global market, and they haven't got a global market because, unless you're in the United States or Europe or maybe Australia, not many people in other parts of the world are buying your bikes. Okay, maybe a few countries here and there, not brand new bikes I'm talking about, or only the very rich in those countries will be able to do it. Anyway, guys, listen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching today. Harley Loco in the USA, they bend over backwards for you. Here, it's franchised with car dealerships, motorcycle and car folk, two totally different communities. They are. Well, I think we've got a better system over here in terms of dealerships where you're treated by dealerships, but not all dealerships are franchised with car dealerships. Yes, there's some are, and some are multi-brand dealerships, but also some are multi-dealership considerations as well. So it's a different system. Anyway, guys, listen, all I can say is thanks for watching, and there'll be a show coming out soon, very, very soon, and all I can say is it's been emotional. Thanks a lot. Cheers.